welcome to Think Tech. We are raising public awareness about technology, energy, globalism, and diversification. This show is the Arts in Hawaii. I am your very proud host, managing director of Kumukuhua Theater. Today's show is coming to you from Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. Joining me today is my guest, Andy Reilly. We'll get to Andy in just a moment. We're going to talk about his new book, soon to be released, Honolulu Street Style. If you would like to ask a question or make a comment during our show in real time, you can tweet us at ThinkTechHI. And remember that we broadcast live on Ustream.tv and Springer.com, and you can see all of our live shows as well as our archived material on ThinkTechHawaii.com. If you'd like to join us downtown in our studio at any time, just email Jay at ThinkTechHawaii.com. Andy Reilly, PhD, is an associate professor in the Fashion Design and Merchandising program at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. He teaches classes on the fashion industry, fashion theory, and social psychology of appearance. He researches body image and the appearance and dress choices of men. He is the author of one book, co-editor of 2 books, and co-editor of the forthcoming Honolulu Street Style. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, let's start off. When is your book released?
The book is currently available for pre-order from Amazon.com, and it will be available actually in person, or to actually purchase. You'll get it in February. It comes from Intellect Publishing, and this is part of a series of cities that they're highlighting for their innovative fashion awareness and innovative fashion industries. Other than the big ones that we normally think of, New York, Los Angeles, Paris, London, they really wanted to highlight some of the emerging cities that are doing interesting things that have smaller industries within them, but that maybe people aren't really quite aware of on a global scale just yet.
Yeah, and the images in it are so cool. The images walking around Honolulu are so different. I come from the Midwest. I come from Chicago.
Okay.
And it struck me immediately when I moved here that the influence is so different. And I'm an avid reader of Vogue and In Style, and these are some of the ways in which people put themselves together are so immediately recognizable after you've been here for a while, don't you think?
Well, yes, and I did the book with Malia Marin, who's of Hawaii Red Style, and Attila Pullman, who's a graduate student at University of Hawaii. And Attila's responsible for all of the photography in the book. The way we went around with the book was we would have days where we would go to different parts of the city, different neighborhoods. We would just walk around, see someone that we really liked, someone that we thought had a great style or interesting way of putting together their look, or you could obviously tell that they put thought in it, or they were saying something with their clothing that one of us would go up and talk to them and stop them and explain that we're doing a book that would feature regular people who have an interesting story to tell with their clothes, ask permission for their to take their picture, do a quick brief interview, and that's how we put the book together. I think we had maybe around 200 or more pictures to choose from, and it was a very hard job editing it down to the ones that we decided on and put into the book.
Oh, wow.
But
did anyone say no?
There were some people who didn't want to be in a book, or they didn't want to have their picture on a book, which I understand. I mean, if someone came up to me, I don't know if I'd want to be on a book either. But most people are very gracious and really excited about it. So we ran into people that we knew who were on the street, and they wanted to be a part of it. So putting it together was really a fun project for all of us, I think. We had a good time working on it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I have to, and we'll get to some of the photos. And I should say that if you tweet any questions while we're live, you can tweet questions for Andy at ThinkTechHi. I want to say .com, but I don't need to because it's a tweet. It's a Twitter address. So. Nancy, is it a visceral thing?
Yeah, most of it was a visceral thing. I mean, we would go through and see someone who had, great combination of color, or something that looked vintage, something that was either, very on trend for fashion right now, or something that, either struck me or struck Malie or struck Attila as being, okay, we really want to know why this person was wearing that, why this person was, what they thought about when putting their clothes together. And we found some really great stories in there from people who, are wearing jewelry that's been passed down to them, and memories of, their grandparents of what they wear, to going to vintage clothing stores and finding pieces that they really liked, to their travels and coming back with, interesting stories about what they saw in Japan and bringing it back here, or their identity tied up with their tattoos or with their clothing. So it was really, for me, it was a visceral experience based on the aesthetics of, wow, I really like that. And as we got deeper into it, we could really tell, okay, there's an influence here from the history of fashion, or by virtue of Honolulu being in the middle of the Pacific and being a crossroads for Asia, Australia, the United States, that we really found such an influence and, what's the word I'm looking for? Just an area where fashion and clothing is a site for so much more. Is an area that they're expressing so much more than what they're wearing.
Yeah. So the purpose of the book was to show what is different about Honolulu?
We wanted to show, well, one of my goals was, there's so many books out there about the aloha shirt that we really, and when I tell people that I live in Hawaii, people, that's the first thing that pops into their mind. And rightly so, because it has a strong history in Hawaii. There's a strong identity of the aloha shirt with Hawaii, but I also wanted people to understand that there's much more to Honolulu and Hawaii than the Hawaiian shirt, that there is an industry here, that we have talented people here, we have unique trends and unique styles here that are really showing what's going on globally with the world, as well as what is likely going to or will influence the world. When we think of the designers and the stylists who are working in Honolulu right now and who have, a global reach, or an international reach, that, what they're seeing in Honolulu and what they're working on in Honolulu is, by virtue of Twitter and tweeting and Facebook, you can wear something here and all of a sudden people in Japan, in Korea, in Europe are seeing it and either copying it or commenting on it, or taking it and adapting it to their own. So I really wanted to make sure that people understood that there's so much more to Honolulu fashion than what they typically think of.
The Hawaiian shirt, Hawaiian and the flowered,
yeah,
sarong. It gives me pause when you're talking about when you are, the longer I've been here, the more differences in Hawaiian shirts I see. The aloha shirts all used to look the same to me.
Yes.
Now that I've been around them a little more, yes, I see the differences. But I do agree with you that whenever you are drawn to someone's look, there's something inside them that put those clothes on that attracted you, that means that this is a person with whom you're going to at least have an interesting conversation.
Well, visually, one of the first things when we recognize someone is, from all the senses, we usually see them first, and their clothing, all the way to how they style their hair, their any makeup they're wearing, jewelry, influences us on, are we going to interact with them? Are we going to, cross the street? Are we going to stay on the same side of the street? Are we going to say hi to them? Are we going to compliment them? And before we even get to know that person, we've already made up our minds of how they look. Do they look like someone that I could talk to? Do they look scary? Do they look intelligent? And so I think that really what we wear influences what other people think of us. And so part of getting dressed in the morning is thinking, okay, what do I like and how are people going to interact with me based on what I wear. I mean, when you talk about the aloha shirt, there's so many different varieties and styles based on whether it's part of the traditional aloha shirt that's for the tourist community as a souvenir, or the aloha shirts that are made for the local community that are a little bit more soft and muted with the fabric turned inside out. And if you can tell just by wearing different ones. If I wear the real loud, garish ones that I got from my grandfather in the 70s, people treat you different because they think you are a tourist. Mm-hmm. And so, there's that, what are you doing here type of thing, Whereas, not what are you doing here, but, they treat you different than thinking if you are a resident. Just like, what are you doing here? How can I help you find your street? When, you think, I really feel I know where I'm going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a story about that, if you'll indulge me for just a moment. At one point in my life, I had, my dad had been in an accident and was in a nursing home. And for months, my life was get up, throw on whatever, and go spend time with him there. And one of the days, and it was a particularly trying day there, and I was clean. I didn't smell bad. Let me just say that. I wasn't put together as well as I like to be. I had snuck out just for a little while to run to a nearby McDonald's and get something to eat. And so I'm standing there in line, and I remember I ordered something small because my bill came to $2.13. And I'm digging in my purse, and someone in the nursing home had stolen my wallet.
Okay.
So I'm digging, and I said, I can't find my wallet. I don't have any money. And people just backed away from me. And the person behind the counter, there was, the person was rude. I was being dismissed. And I'm an intelligent, I think I'm a poised person, I speak well, all of this. I was the same person, I was dressed differently.
Yes.
I wasn't as well put together, I didn't have makeup on, my hair had just, been pulled back in a ponytail. Literally 2 days later, and that shattered me, nobody said, here's $2.13. Which I would have liked to have had I been in that line, I would have said,
here's some money, let me help you out.
2 days later, I'm dressed for work now. I'm in a suit and carrying a nice briefcase, and I am all put together. And I go to the store, and as I'm checking out, I don't know, I handed the woman the wrong card, and it was declined. And she fell all over herself. Oh, no, that's okay. We'll just run it again. No problem. And the person behind me in line, I've had that happen before. And it was all strictly,
because you were one of, quote unquote, one of them.
Yes, yeah. And that was a life changer for me, because it made me look at other people differently and recognize what kind of filters I'm processing them through myself.
Well, especially with education, there's been some studies on how students are perceived by teachers based on what students are wearing. And vice versa, how teachers are perceived based on what teachers are wearing. So I think that the study was, they showed a person in 4 different styles. Something that was casual, all the way from jeans and a t-shirt, to something like khakis and a polo shirt, all the way to something jacket, tie, and a whole suit. And what they found was, at one spectrum, jacket, tie, the whole suit was found, they believed to be intelligent, very sophisticated, knew their job, and did a good job teaching, but wasn't approachable. Whereas on the other spectrum, it was didn't really know what they were talking about, didn't really wasn't very intelligent or smart in their job, but was very approachable. So as a teacher, it was trying to find the balance between that. And then similarly with students, how students are dressed, whether it's jeans on a t-shirt to jacket on tie, same type of thing. And what that implies is, if you think, and I'm not saying this is for all teachers, but the implication was, if you think a student is intelligent and is going to go to college, you're more likely to help that person or that student with their homework or with their assignments. Where if you already have this perception that a student isn't academically ready just because of how they look, then that person sometimes gets sidelined and isn't really available, or doesn't get the help or the assistance that they really need. And it's not a conscious thing. It's just these subtle little things we do, like you're saying at McDonald's, these subtle things that happen to us every day.
They are. Okay, we're going to come right back to that. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii Digital Series.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for Think Tech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Hori. Mahalo.
Hi, we're back and we're live. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. We're coming to you from Pioneer Plaza, located in the heart of downtown Honolulu. I'm Donna Blanchard talking with Andy Reilly. And we were just talking about how it's not intentional that people look at you and say, those clothes are last season, I don't like you.
Right.
But it affects us throughout our lives.
It affects us in interviews. Just when you go for an interview, I mean, some researchers say that, in the first 5 seconds, they've already decided if they like you or not, based on, are you dressed appropriately? Do you look like you fit in with this company? Do you look like a person who works here? And that affects how, if you get hired, that affects this whole idea of beauty, or do you fit in? It's just, if you get hired, if you get raises, how fast you get a promotion. Most people are very dismissive of appearance, thinking that, oh, it's fashion, it's frivolous, it doesn't really matter. But underneath it, there's so much more that's going on that reflects our social and psychological well-being, or our social injustices, or the way our prejudices towards people.
Yeah, and it changes regionally. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, what I wear in Hawaii is very different than what I would wear in New York or in say, Southern Florida. A great example was, I went to school at Florida State, and I had this pink gingham shirt. This was a pink check shirt that was very popular at the time. And I was going to visit people in New York City, and one of the people said, well, you need to make sure you wear black, because everyone in New York in the 90s was wearing black. Do you remember in the 90s? I mean, everybody wore black. And I was just so annoyed by that, do you think I'm some hayseed that doesn't know this? So I wore my pink gingham shirt, and I was treated like, almost a hayseed. Like, what are you doing wearing this shirt? This is a sophisticated city. And that, like your McDonald's story, was an eye-opener. That was really an eye-opener that, even different regions are quite different. California has, the surfer look, and even within California, if you think of San Francisco and LA, I mean, two totally different regional aspects where people can identify people based on what they're wearing, or the subtle cues of, who's your stylist.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town in Indiana just outside of Chicago, literally, a 40-minute drive into the Loop. And the worlds were so very different. And when they crossed over, there's a certain feeling of, you don't belong here.
That's like the rural or the urban. Yeah. Very big differences there. If you would like to send any questions to us, you can tweet them at ThinkTechHI. So Ian, can we take a look at some of the pictures from the book? Oh, he's ready. Oh man, okay. He is on the ball. So this lady is on the cover of the book. I love this. And actually, this was probably one of the first pictures that we took. And she is, I believe, the editor for Flux magazine. Oh. And we just happened to be running into her. And I want to say this was really maybe the first picture, maybe the second picture we took. And it was just such a striking picture. And I love it because you definitely see the street in it. You see, this is not a glammed up shot of someone in a studio. It's the street, but she has this great style to her with the pink hair and the bunny on the shirt. It reminds me a little of the influence of Harajuku in Japan, but also of the little cute bunny that's kind of youthful expression, but so you got the casualness of having the jeans on and then the shoes. And everybody these days are wearing we used to call them boat shoes or deck shoes when I was young, topsiders now. And it was funny because she was wearing this before they became quite popular with everyone, so she was really ahead of her time. But I love this one, especially the pink hair, because it's it's a way to take in something that's so extravagant, like in Harajuku, but really make it workable for a young professional person.
Yeah, and it's a bunny, but it's not a Playboy bunny.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different bunny. Yeah.
But it makes you think.
I never thought about the Playboy bunny. Yeah. I never thought about that. Yeah, but this is just Ara's her name. Just wonderful.
I love that here. Well, and in my life as a managing director of a theater, this sort of style, this is someone that I take seriously.
Yes, yeah. This is someone we take seriously.
Can we look at the next one, please? Oh yeah, this one I chose. Now, let me just let everyone know. You sent me a whole bunch of pictures, and I took it one step further
Sure.
and trimmed it down just to the ones that I found interesting. And this fellow is wearing a pink hat.
Yes.
Gangsta style. So I'm sorry. That's it. That's why I chose it. What drew you to him?
What I really liked about it, if you can see, well, first the pink color is just fantastic. And in the 80s when I was growing up, a man would never wear pink. It would just be, and although I wear the pinky, I'm sure that's totally another story. But I mean, you always get ridiculed if you wore pink because that wasn't a manly color. It wasn't something that was cool. But now, young people, I say young people because I see this in kids half my age in school. Pink is there's no social stigma to wearing the pink anymore. And I just like that there's the average guy wearing a pink hat, but he also has the earplugs. And so this is someone who's very, I look at it, someone who's understands the trends, is very on the edge, and mixed with a regular t-shirt that it's kind of like an everyday casual appearance. But still, there's, there was thought behind this. There was, he obviously thought about what shirt to wear or what hat to wear, and I just really wanted to show the combination here of what men are wearing, as well as the body piercings. Because one thing I wanted to feature about this book was how people also adorn their bodies.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
There's
ink.
a lot, yes, yeah. Yeah, adorn their bodies with tattoos, with piercings, with different things that modify the body.
Can we see the next one, please, Ian?
Oh, this was a great one. We got this one in right outside Coffee Talk in Kaimuki. And my first reaction to this was, it's an updated version of Aloha style. I mean, that's what I thought, because it's a floral print shirt, but it's not the obvious hibiscus and floral print. It's a different take on the floral print shirt. And then with the slim fit jacket. But then I love his bag is an American bag. So he's got these different prints going on at the same time, different color combinations. And he was very happy when we asked him and flattered and said we really like the style. He was very, he was willing to talk to us and really wanted to tell us why he was choosing it. But my interpretation was this is updated, modern, contemporary Aloha style.
I love that. You know what? I chose this one because I love the androgyny.
Well, yeah. I mean, very androgynous. I really like that because, I mean, you could see that a man wearing that or a woman wearing that, and it really can work both ways.
Yeah. Very, very comfortably.
Yes.
You know what? There's something about the question of androgyny that I was just talking with our office manager, Will Kahaley, earlier today. We were talking about performances that Kate Blanchett in the original Lord of the Rings, the first movie, you don't know whether she's a goodie or a baddie.
Okay,
You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
And that's something that I find very interesting in art. When I look at something or I experience something and I'm not sure how I feel about it, it leaves question.
Well, and that's part of androgyny too, is many people are very uncomfortable if they meet someone and they're not sure, man or woman. And I was recently having a conversation with someone about someone they saw crossing the street who they said they weren't sure what to make of what this person was wearing. The person was a male, had a beard on, but had brightly colored nails, and I might have been high heels, but was also wearing very masculine leather pants. I mean, it was just such a combination of masculinity and femininity, and he had to bring this up because he wasn't sure what to make of it. And I find that it makes people uncomfortable when you can't categorize people and put them into, this is a man, this is what I'm expecting of a man. This is a woman, this is what I'm expecting of a woman. And when someone blends the two, it disturbs a lot of people.
It's off-putting.
Yes.
But, so I don't know whether my interest is because I have a need to figure things out, or just because, which would kind of make me a narcissist, or because we all want to assign order, like we will all see faces and patterns, even when they're not really there, we all seek that sort of order, Or is it just intriguing because there is something attractive about the question? And
You know, it could be both. I mean, I think part of what attracts me to it is I'm trying to figure out, what made you decide to defy social conventions? Because I'm all for it. If you're upsetting the balance or challenging the norms, I think that's fantastic. There's in the fashion industry right now, there are a number of fashion models, and one is named I can't think of the name now, but Andrei Petrovac, something like that, where he models both menswear and women's wear clothing.
oh,
And he looks fabulous as a man and looks fabulous as a woman. And you really wouldn't be able to tell, but maybe it was last year that his photo, he was on a magazine, don't remember which magazine it was, kissing a woman on it. And it was a fashion magazine. And a lot of the bookstores covered the cover because it looked like a kiss between two women, or they removed it. And once they found out that it was a gender, a man and a woman, people were thrown by that.
Yeah.
And so then how do you react when, they were saying, well, it shows something that we don't approve of, but then all of a sudden you find out, well, it was just appearances because there was a man and a woman.
what an ideal way to sell a
Yeah.
lot of magazines.
A lot of magazines.
right?
But also, I mean, his business, I mean, he can model twice as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that drew me to that, when I was looking at that photo, I have to admit that I looked to see which way the fly went.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I was that curious about it. I recently read something that people who have a deep-seated need to get those answers, and I don't know that I agree with it, that it has something to do with narcissism. That's why I said that.
We're all narcissistic
Then
too.
we
We're
all
all
are to some
curious.
extent.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily
Yeah.
falling into the lake.
Yeah.
Can we see the next one, please, Ian?
Oh, she was wonderful. She was visiting from Japan, and immediately, I wasn't there at the photo for this one, but when I saw the images, and they told me about them, she was visiting from Japan. She had a bunch of cameras around her neck, and it was just such a contrast because she was dressed all in black. And it was kind of like Matrix meets Waikiki. But here she is at the beach. Everyone around her has bathing suits on. And she's very stylishly dressed. She has the hat on, all in black, and is going around taking pictures of people. And I thought this was really just the contrast between what she's wearing and the background I liked. And then she has the peace symbol, which I thought was great. And, we're talking about when people come to Hawaii, they sometimes decide they're going to get the big floral shirts, and they're going to, dress like people in Hawaii, what they think people in Hawaii wear. And here she was wearing something that it was either, she thought was appropriate for the situation.
Yeah. That's what drew me to this one too. The black, the incongruity. And I always think, it looks fabulous, but I always think, aren't you hot?
Well, I know, that's what I was thinking too. And I thought, gosh, she's got to be hot out there.
We have to go to another break.
Okay.
This show is going by way too quickly. If you'd like to send in questions, it's ThinkTechHI on Twitter. Where else would it be? We'll be right back.
We want to thank our underwriters.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High-Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions.
I'm Nicole Horry. Thanks so much for joining us on Think Tech.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
Hi, we're back and we're live. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. I am Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Hawaii Theater, and I'm talking with Andy Reilly, who's an associate professor at UH Manoa.
Yes.
And one of the co-authors of this book, Honolulu Street Style, which is available for pre-sale on Amazon now.
Right, and then it'll be actually ready in February, and hopefully many of the local bookstores will be carrying it. We're working on getting it into the stores here.
Yeah, that would be great. It's a beautiful book. It's a wonderful conversation piece.
It is. It's interesting because it's part coffee table book, but a little bit more deeper than coffee table book because it has essays in there as well as commentary and depictions of the images and why people are wearing what they're wearing and what it means to be in Honolulu and the fashion of Honolulu. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. I'm always a little bit flummoxed when I talk with people who will throw on a t-shirt and a pair of jeans or whatever and say, oh no, I don't care about it. And I feel like you're making a statement.
Well, anti-fashion is a fashion. There's, a whole history of people who don't want to follow the trend. And either for whatever reason, because they think fashion is frivolous, or they say, it doesn't matter to me. And so they will purposefully wear things that are not in style. And ironic, like for example, let me think of a good example. If we want to look at grunge. Now, grunge was popular, and it was a fashion statement in the 1990s. But before that, it was just what people were wearing in the Northwest United States, with Kurt Cobain and a lot of the underground music scene were wearing their grandfather's sweaters, were wearing their plaid shirts and stuff that you would find at a vintage store. It wasn't quote-unquote fashion. It wasn't high fashion. And then it started to become a trend. An interesting story was one of the first designers to take that idea of grunge they were seeing on the street was Marc Jacobs, and he was working for Perry Ellis at the time, and he created a grunge line for Perry Ellis, and it didn't sell. It was a bomb, because why would you pay $60 for a shirt when you can go, when the real authentic version, you can make a whole outfit for a few dollars at Goodwill.
Yeah.
But he was on track because he understood that fashion was now starting to develop on the streets, and it was starting to percolate up. And so then we saw a lot of people who were wearing grunge styles who really had nothing to do with the music scene in Seattle, but it was just very fashionable and cool to wear the grunge style.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that was an example of, starting out as or something that wasn't fashion. But yeah, people who definitely say, they're not going to wear fashion are making their own types of statements, whether it's that they feel they're independent or they feel that they're more creative. But it really is, they're definitely making a statement. It's hard to get away from clothing because we all wear it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't get away from making some sort of statement.
Some type of personal statement, yeah.
But, and I always, it begs a question, and the question's a little more, you have to be a little more thoughtful to get to that question, because that is a uniform that is worn by a very wide range of people,
yes,
let's say. And that those filters that we process people through, it's hard to get past them.
True. Well, what's interesting is talking about, what people choose to wear and not choose to wear. I'm starting to look into hate crimes and assault based on clothing and appearance, especially with identity. For example, in the 1990s, there was a lot of research on sexual assault and clothing, and how part of the defense was introducing the clothing, saying, well, she was wearing a short skirt or a leopard print bra or whatever it was. And those introducing clothing has since been outlawed in many states, that you can't introduce it as evidence of consent, because there's two different things there: why people wear clothes and why people are reading about it. So I was interested in looking at if the clothing has any motivation in hate crimes or assaults, we know it has motivations in bullying and teasing on playgrounds and especially harassment in the workroom. But I became interested in this when an acquaintance of mine was called as a witness to a hate crime. A friend of his was had a brick thrown through the car and it hit his head. And during the trial, my friend was called as a witness and was asked to describe the clothing of the victim. And the lawyer basically said, well, isn't it true he was dressed like a gay man? Although he didn't use the word gay man. And he was trying to make the point was, well, he deserved it because this is what he was wearing. He was wearing pink, he was wearing something feminine, and so therefore he deserved to be attacked. And so I'm looking to see how clothing now is used either as not a defense but a motivation for what's going on right now when we talk about hate crimes around the world or different crimes against people based on just how they look.
Fascinating. And in your studies, do you believe that are we getting better, at least in the United States? Are we getting better at not? I think I see. Let me try to be articulate here. I see a sort of leveling out.
Okay.
I see maybe because of media and how infiltrated it is in our lives. You see the same fashions loosely across the country. So there isn't quite so much disparity. It is more subtle.
Sure.
So an androgynous person.
Yes.
From what I see, and maybe it's just my age and travels, it looks to me as though it's no big deal anymore. It's who a person is, but it's not. There's no shock.
Well, are we getting better? I mean, are we getting better at tolerating people, accepting people? Maybe, I don't know, that's a really good question.
I love it when people say that.
I know, because it's a hard question to answer. I think the newer, younger generations are becoming more globally aware of different people and different lifestyles and different cultures and ways of living. But I think we're always going to have either an underlying tension or we're always going to find something to not like about other people. For example, I've been told, and I don't have any research to back this up, but anecdotally I've been told that women from the island of Chuuk who move here, it's one of the Micronesian islands in the Pacific, who move here, they have a very distinctive skirt. Have you ever seen their skirt?
Oh,
it's
no,
a fantastic skirt. It's like kind of like a dirndl skirt, just a regular wrap dress, but it has on the bottom this great embroidery that might be a Nike swoosh, or it might be flowers, or it might be some really interesting type of embroidery that they've done, and it's a part of their culture and part of their identity. When they come to Hawaii, they are making it as a way to gain income, as a way to generate income. But by wearing it, they're being harassed because Micronesians are being accused of being, bringing in all the ills or whatever. So they're not making it anymore. They're losing their identity. They're being harassed. And so what does that do to who you are when you can't wear what your cultural identity is?
I can't imagine.
Yeah. And so that's something that's what I want to explore a little bit further.
And I thank you for exploring it, and I hope that will help. That will help the leveling out, help us become better at it. We're going to take one more break.
Okay.
We'll be right back. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii Digital Series. Stay tuned.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for Think Tech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Hi, we're back. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. And I just want to say, I'm having such a wonderful time talking with Andy. I hope that you're enjoying the conversation as well. A friend of mine saw you on the news last week.
Yeah, for promoting the book on KITV.
Yeah,
yes.
on KITV, and texted me immediately and says, you should have this guy on your show. So if you're watching this and you think of someone that should be on this show that you'd really like to see in this conversation, then please let me know, and you can tweet me directly at All About Donna. It's hard to forget because it's so true. Okay. Do you want to do a few more pictures?
Sure,
We
let's
just
look
have
at the
one
pictures.
more segment
Yeah.
left here, but let's do a few more if we may.
Oh, okay.
Love her.
This is Marcia Morgado. She used to work at the university. She's retired. She taught fashion. She's lived here for 30, 40 years. And she was the buyer at one time for Liberty House. And she is just fantastic. And I love the way she dresses, because here's someone who's over 21 years old with her dyed hair with the red on it. She is wearing it's a very pale see-through shirt that has a line on it. And when you look closer, you can see that underneath it, she has a leopard bra on it. But part of the dress was she's carrying, I don't see, you can see in this picture, she's carrying an alligator purse. Not an alligator purse made of alligator, a child stuffed toy that has been made into an alligator purse.
Oh, forever.
With tie jeans on. And she wears a lot of bling. She has all her bling on, all her jewelry and rhinestones and coming down. And we ran into her at in Kaimuki one day, and we're like, "You're perfect. Come here. We're gonna take a picture of you." Yeah, and one of the things with the book is I want to show a diversity of age in here, because so many fashion books and so many magazines about fashion are for people who are 20, 30 years old, and I really wanted to show that no matter what your age is, it's really what you feel inside in your spirit of, this is how I want to dress, and this is what she's wearing, and she definitely is making a statement. I mean,
She's the Anna Wintour of Honolulu.
She is, but nice, She, there's something else. I mean, she defines her style as kitsch, and she really is very, I mean, this is really a kitsch look to it, that it's, a little bit awkward out there, kind of crazy, a little bit tacky, and she loves it. She loves it. She has fun with fashion.
Have you seen her on other days? Do you
Yes, yeah. I mean, a variety of clothing. She, when she taught on days that she gave a test, she had this black T-shirt on it that said "Fashion Sucks" on it. And she would just have a sense of humor about clothing and a sense of humor about what to wear. And the Fashion Sucks T-shirt she ended up donating to the historic costume collection at UH.
Oh.
Yeah. So when she retired after 30-something years, we did a museum exhibition of her life as told through the clothing that she had donated to the museum, from when she first came here, how many years ago, from Utah, to the different phases that she went through in her career and her style. It was fantastic.
Wow, yeah, she's someone that, well, and I should say it goes both ways. There are sometimes a person's wearing an impeccably tailored suit,
Yes.
and there are people who don't want to talk to that person because of the way they're dressed. They would rather
Right,
talk with the person who's wearing the Dago tee and the cutoff shorts, her clothing speaks to me very loudly. It makes me want to say, I just want to
talk
have
to
a
you.
cocktail with
Exactly.
you. I really
I want to go find out what's going on. She's a fun person, and it comes through with what she's wearing.
Okay, let's do one more. Let's do the next one. Oh, love her.
This is a great one. I just really, it was kind of like, an updated version of Holly Golightly. If you look, and I love the contrast between the polka dots and the blouse and then the pattern on her purse. Very chic, I like this because it was, a chic style, comfortable to wear in Hawaii. But when you look at her eyes and glasses, you can see her eyes underneath it, and she's telling a story with her eyes. I don't know what she's saying with her eyes, but it was just a really good picture, and I thought, see, this is what I want the world to see. I want the world to see, the sophistication that's coming out of Hawaii and the different styles or the way things are put together from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I love, again, that it's on the street because you see the person with the ladder in the background. So this is, someone who wasn't getting dressed up for a photo shoot. Just, this is what I'm wearing today.
It's a great, it's a great photo. And so it leads me to ask the question, we've gone from, the very weighty subject of hate crimes based on what a person is wearing. And this seems much lighter to talk about. Holly Golightly here opens up her closet and throws on something that happens to speak to her that day. Where in the research that you're doing, what's the middle ground that you're finding in there? Expressing who you are as opposed to, or vis-a-vis the way people experience you.
That's always going to be a contrast just by virtue of living in a society of wanting to, some people do want to express their individuality, and so they're going to wear something that's quite different. And sometimes the different things that they wear get picked up by other people and starts the trend. And then some people aren't comfortable being noticed or being seen, so they'll wait for a trend to become popular and everyone will wear it, and then they're more comfortable wearing it because they don't stand out. So even though we have that social interaction of what's going on in society, it's also about us and, do we want to fit in? Do we want to stand out? How unique can I be and still not be bothered or teased for it? Or, you wear something fantastic one day and all of a sudden you're going to be in a book. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
I have this fantasy that I'll be walking down the street one day and Isaac Mizrahi will see me and say, "Oh, come here.
Come here. Yes, we got to talk to you. Yes.
And I don't care what he says.
Yeah.
I want to know. I would really like to hear that educated opinion of how I'm showing up, because we have our own filters, within ourselves. So.
Well, we all, we look in the mirror and sometimes we think we look fantastic and we don't, or the vice versa. And friends say, that's really good on you, and you need to. I think we're so hypercritical of ourselves anyways that we don't really see who we are at times. We're picking on that one flaw that we see and we don't see the whole picture.
Yeah. I'd love to walk around Chinatown with you sometime, because I look at a person's the whole picture and feel drawn or compelled in some way or not, and I don't have an educated opinion about it at all. But
it's even just walking here today, I saw so many people that I wanted. Gosh, where were you? I wanted to put you in the book. Maybe one day we'll do a supplement to this. Part 2.
Oh yeah, there you go. And I will look forward to that. We do have a little more time.
Okay.
Is there anything, as you were putting the book together, that surprised you?
Not surprised me. The book, we have like an overview, and then we have 3 different sections. One is on the beachwear, because I think Hawaii does beachwear very, very well. Another section was on head, hair, hats, and the 3rd section was on, I'm totally blanking right now what's in my own book. And the 3rd section was on, head, hair, hats, beachwear, and accessories. And I think because Hawaii is, and as Malie has said this before, because we don't have a change of seasons. A lot of it is very, the same clothes, or, we wear minimal amount of clothes, that people are using accessories and their hair or their hats to make the difference. Because if you don't have, people do wear scarves, but it's too hot to wear scarves or too hot to wear pants or the jackets or what have you, that we find other ways to really express ourselves. Well, what I found was surprising was the sheer diversity and artistry that's going into some of the styles. In the book, there's a picture of a woman who has fantastic. She has long nails on, and they're painted, but then they have pearls on it and little diamante on it. These are nails that are fantastic. There's not working nails. These are nails that are just amazing. And just the amount of time and money that went into that, I thought was great. And that's what I really wanted to share with people.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting way to look at it with the accessories. Coming here from the Midwest, I still miss layers. I miss layers. There's so much more expression.
Yeah.
Feels to me.
As much as I don't like cold weather, it is sometimes nice to pull out a jacket.
To throw a jacket on. And I was back in the Midwest for 2 weeks recently, and I wore so many layers. I was like the kid in a Christmas story. First of all, I was freaking cold all the time, but
I know.
also there's so much expression that comes with a t-shirt and a sweater and a blazer and boots and but you're absolutely right. The expression here is seeing more of our skin shows.
We show a lot of skin, and so we're finding different ways to, from tattoos, piercings to, how we can create unique ways to look.
Yeah. And vive la différence. I'm sorry, we have to wrap up, and
Okay.
I'm sorry that my script here is on my phone because my script here is on my phone today. Thank you so much for being
Sure,
here.
I appreciate it.
Really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll continue it.
I hope so.
Best of luck on the
Yes.
book. I'm anxious to follow your progress there. I'm Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukuhua Theater. This has been the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. Thanks to our production manager, Ian, who is in my ear, Ian Davidson, our communications director, Chrissy Goffigan, and to Jay Fidel, who somehow manages to put it all together. Thanks to you for listening and watching. Remember, you can tweet suggestions to me at allaboutdonna. To check our previous broadcasts on YouTube, go to thinktechhawaii.com, and please like us on Facebook. We'll see you next week. Bye.